What is up, everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Start Build Grow Show. Today, we have another awesome guest. This is going to be a great conversation. Today, our topic is one of the hottest topics in all of the industries, especially in the home service trades industry, and that's how to leverage AI as well as offshore talent to scale your business. 2026 is the year of AI and the year of scaling, but you got to do it very strategically. And I have an expert with me that we're going to interview, so you're going to want to stay tuned. All right, everybody, welcome back. Hey, my man, Brad Stevens with Outsource Access. It's been amazing getting to connect with you and get to know you a little bit over the last few weeks, my man. And I'm excited for the interview. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh man, happy to be here. And yeah, it's a profoundly hot topic. You can't go more than 3 seconds in this world these days without seeing AI pop up and whole outsourcing VA world. It's a crazy path, and everybody's trying to come to terms of what it means and how to use it, right?
Absolutely. So it's funny. Last year, early in the year, I deemed 2025 the year of AI. And, take a little credit. Not really, but we saw it coming, right? And it was already hot and already coming. And now I'm like doubling down on that because 2026 is really the year, because 2025, all these things came out, a lot of buzz, but now it's about implementation and execution and figuring out what works. And if you're not on board and not on the AI train, and not working one way or another, using it, leveraging it, I believe, are probably going to get left behind. So that's going to be an awesome point of contention. But this is a show about entrepreneurship. You are a serial entrepreneur, my friend. So let's go there. I want you to go back to, early days of entrepreneurship. Like, what was a moment that you decided that you wanted to be an entrepreneur, and walk me through that journey a little bit.
Well, you remember Micro Machines? I think you and I are similar age. You remember those, right?
Yep. We are right in the age of Micro Machines, man. And I think they tried to make a comeback recently. I don't think they're really that popular anymore.
Well, they didn't have me behind it, as I'll tell you in the story here. So
let's hear it.
But I'll be 47 this year, so me, the nose, and for the younger listeners out there, back in the days of the Atari, but Micro Machines are these tiny little cars. They're about like this big, right? And I remember when I was in elementary school, that was the toy that I wanted, right? I mean, I asked for them for my birthday and for Christmas and so forth. And these little Micro Machines, and they came with like little sets, right? Like a little gas station and a mall and a racetrack and whatever. And but my dad, I grew up in an entrepreneurial family. My dad drove me to work drove me to school every day, and about 20 minutes. And I would just always ask him questions, and we would talk about things that were going on. He wanted me to be educated about kind of business and entrepreneurship. And so I've taken that learning plus my mass collection of Micro Machines, which, by the way, I kept in Crown Royal bags, right? So my parents enjoyed some Crown Royal. So I had these in these pink bags going to my little Christian school. And I started renting them out to friends in third, fourth grade. And so I remember I still have Winter Hawkins was my VP of sales, and Seth was my VP of marketing. And I had actually a typewriter newsletter to our customer newsletter. Made myself my own credit card, but yeah, that was my first foray into. Everybody has their lemonade stand story, right? Mine was I had 600 of these things, Micro Machines. I'd rent them for a penny a night, and I'd rent the little other things for like a nickel a night, and so forth. So those car conversations with my dad just kind of kicked that off. And so yeah, that was my very first journey in it. And I ended up starting a tutoring company in high school. I went to all the middle school counselors and asked them, hey, what are the kids that are struggling or ones that want to skip a math? And I charged $20, and this was back in 96, 97, an hour to go tutor kids. So those were my first forays into it. And I got a chance to actually, as a senior class, got the chance to trade toys back and forth with another school in Scotland. So we got to run like a little international business in high school. And I remember Beanie Babies is actually what they wanted in Scotland. So we exported Beanie Babies and we imported Scottish jewelry. And we had to sell stock to our family and our family members and so forth. So I got lucky to have some young exposure early on that ended up launching my now 25 years, haven't stopped with a number of different companies since then.
Super cool. And I love these stories, man. That's why I always ask this question, because I feel like everybody has that, that early taste of entrepreneurship, and it's so cool to hear the different stories of it. Mine was probably a little bit more traditional. Well, one of the things I did was I took my allowance. I went to the store and I bought like boxes of blow pops, right, from Costco or whatever.
There you go.
and I'd sell them for like 25 cents a piece or whatever. So, that was one of the first ones I did. But I like the idea of you were onto something, man, of renting, right? Like creating a model where you sell the same thing over and over and over. So rent it for a night and bring it back, right?
Monetize that.
Love those
over
models,
and over.
right? Absolutely.
Until your teacher shuts you down because you're creating too much chaos in the class. But
that happened to me on the bus, right? I got shut down. Like, what is this kid doing selling, candy out of the back of a backpack on the school bus? So that got shut down too.
Good early skill.
It was fun. Okay, so let's fast forward, man. You're an adult, and what was that journey like?
So I
real business.
Yeah, so I after I went to college and came back home. I decided to go do a real job in corporate world. I knew I was going to probably do an entrepreneurial path at some point, but when I graduated college, I was up in the Northeast and came back to Atlanta, and I was ready to get back to some warm weather and lower cost of living. And all my family's here in Atlanta. And man, 3 weeks before I was supposed to start with them, this is an investment bank. 3 weeks before I was supposed to start, fly out to San Francisco, they got shut down. This was back in 2002, back like, the tech
before
bubble.
The crash, before the bubble.
And so it was Robertson Stevens with the PH, no relation to me, that was an investment bank. And man, I was living the life. I was living in Atlanta. I was getting in another apartment with another like single guy. And like, we were going to both like just enjoy, go in and live in the scene. So they shut down. And so I kind of had a fork in the road to either had some other job offers or go the entrepreneurial path. And Randy, they gave me, I got 3 months severance pay, and I got to keep my signing bonus and never worked a day for this company. And so I was like, man, I had like 20 grand in my pocket. I'm just gonna go find the next failing business and turn this into like a routine. But I decided to go the other path and tuck my tail, move back in with my parents at 22 years old, and started my first company. Actually, my great uncle had an idea he had sent to me in college. I was thinking about doing in pharmaceuticals to help low-income people, low-income seniors mainly, qualify for free medications by helping them qualify for the patient assistance programs that exist with medical companies. And then we had walk-in locations we launched. So I literally had my mom, my grandmother, my aunt in about a room 7 by 8 on phones, on huge computers, taking calls and receiving input and helping these people qualify for meds. And then we had a mail order pharmacy. If we couldn't qualify for free medications, we at least got them on a discount type of basis. So that was my first entrepreneurial journey. And after that, I ended up launching a nutritional products company, manufacturing and distributed nutritional products and meal planning software. And then my next company after that, we manufactured and distributed teeth whitening products globally for the dental industry, the beauty industry. Sold about 18 countries internationally. And then that ended up leading to my current business. And so it's been an interesting daisy chain. I'll share the story too about that transition. The old adage and cliche, never waste a good crisis, is what landed me into this current business, which at the moment was a complete disaster, but I'm glad it happened.
Love that. So I'm going to take that. Never waste a good crisis. And I feel like any entrepreneurial journey is, you're going to have crisis. You're going to have challenge. It's going to happen. It's just inevitable. And those are the times we learn the most, we grow the most, we find out the most about, is this the right path? Is it the wrong path? Do I need to make an adjustment? Do I need to pivot? And I love that. So let's lean into that, man. What was, what was some major turning points or some major crises that you had to work through? And maybe there's some takeaways for the audience here.
Yeah. So, I mean, lots of them through the years, and actually in growing that teeth whitening, business, one of the crises I had kind of early on was we had a teeth whitening pen product that was just teeth whitening gel, and we were trying to figure out how to name it, right? And we ended up naming it White Expressions. And I had done a very low cost version of trademark searching. And then all of a sudden one day I get a certified letter from Procter & Gamble. Oh,
wow.
Letting me know that I had named something actually that overlapped with a teeth whitening or a toothpaste product that they had. Man, I remember dropping to my knees as soon as I read that. I was like, and we had just ordered 10,000 cases of this particular unit. But fortunately, man, they were super kind. I got a chance to talk to one of their corporate attorneys and just said, hey, we understand this happens, and they actually let me go ahead and sell those 10,000. And I was able to, don't order anymore, but they were really kind to me from a small business standpoint. But that was one fiasco and a number of others. But the one that triggered me launching this business was actually related to another one of their pen products. So that was one. We had another product that was double-sided. It had lip gloss on one side, actually lip plumper, if you will, and teeth whitening gel was on the other side. And you could screw it off, brush the whitening gel on your teeth, put lip gloss on. It had mini LED lights in it that would light up. And we had done a ton of those products. People loved it. We sold it into spas and salons and dental offices. And actually got in the hands of a couple of celebrities that got one of them on a cover of Us Weekly magazine holding our product. And we're like, man, this is going to be the product that we're actually gonna make this its own like division and start a whole separate business around this. And so the next batch that we ordered, right, it was about 10, 15,000 actually in that batch. The manufacturer didn't tell us, but they changed the bioadhesive glue that held the brush on the end of the pen for the teeth whitening gel side, hydrogen peroxide. So we got manufactured in Taiwan by a fully ISO certified manufacturer there. We did all due diligence, been using them for years. Well, a supplier down the road changed it. Once they sent it to our California company to fill the whitening gel, it wouldn't happen immediately, Randy, but it would happen in about 20 to 30 days. It would start reacting and fill up with gas, and they would blow up.
Like literally blow up.
They would literally crack and ooze. Well, one of several scenarios I got to learn happened. They would either build up enough gas and crack and then ooze all over the package before they got sold, or they would build up and crack and ooze inside of a woman's purse, or it would build up enough gas and hadn't cracked yet, but by the time you got to the last thread, it'd shoot through the wall.
Wow.
It was nuts. So I was waiting any day to get a lawsuit of me, like, blinding somebody or what have you. Unfortunately, we got through it, but cash got tight. And I'd read Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Work Week 10 years ago, 20 years ago, I guess now, right? About how to get offshore people to do things low cost. And as you can imagine, man, I'm refunding tons of purses and chargebacks from customers. And that was the batch that we sent to all the beauty editors, because we're like, we're going to go big. We're going to send this to all the beauty editors to write about this to be a key product, the one that would blow up on them. But things got tough. And so forced me to learn about the whole offshore world. And I mean, really learn about the Philippines and what people were capable of. And it helped me save that company. I was able to make our dollar stretch and kind of get back right. And fortunately, get any lawsuits. And so I ended up becoming a massive student of the whole offshore staffing world, where to find people, what they were capable of, how do you work with them, how do you treat them well, how do you communicate? And we're using them in marketing and sales and operations and customer service. So I was able to sold that company to our manufacturer and had this base of knowledge. And it was my EO forum where you and I ended up kind of having an intersection. So Brad, so for 2 to 3 years, I got asked to speak and educate, and I spoke for like 80 or 90 EO chapters and YPO and just educated and did some consulting projects. And my forum's like, Brad, you yak about this stuff all the time. Why don't you just launch your own outsourcing company? And so 2019, flew to the Philippines with some of my core team there, and we put our shingle up in Outsource Access. And I made a commitment to support small to medium business. I wanted to make offshore sustainable and reliable, take people through and defying all the myths about perception and language and competency, because these people are unbelievable when you take the time to engage it. Mm-hmm. And we grew to 500 employees in 4.5 years, 85 different industries, and we're in our almost 7th year of business, and 5 million hours of work, and just having a huge impact, working side by side with small to medium business owners. That it's been the most fulfilling thing I've done. So that's how a crisis of blowing up teeth whitening pens that I thought was going to end my entire career kind of turned into the most fulfilling business I've ever had, and can't imagine not having gone down this path.
I love that. And as I'm listening to your story, man, I'm really sensing like a lot of your, ambition and the things you do are coupled with a passion to serve and help others, and with the helping people with medical and elderly people that didn't have the funds. Like, I'm sensing like this passion. You light up when you talk about helping serve others, and I think that's amazing. And because I think regardless of what industry, what business you're in, if you're an entrepreneur out there, there's an element of success that doesn't come without an element of passion and values and purpose and a deep-rooted why you're doing what you're doing. If you're just doing things to make money, you'll never find that purpose, and you'll never really feel that fulfillment, as you just mentioned. So I love that you mentioned that, because I think, if you're an entrepreneur, regardless of what industry you're in, what business you're trying to go into, find something that you can truly get fulfillment from. And when you're helping others, when you're serving others, when you're doing something that like benefits society, it benefits other people's lives, it's way more fulfilling, and you'll maintain that passion for it longer. And that's what's going to help it grow and create freedom for yourself. Right.
Totally, man. And the other important thing is that if you're not insanely passionate about it, you will not stick through the valleys of death that you have to go through as an entrepreneur, right? That's probably why this business has been the most flourishing of any. Like, not that I wasn't passionate about whitening people's teeth, right? But it was more about the passion of growing and building the business, finding a niche and an opportunity to deliver. And, Whitening Smiles definitely had its excitement. But actually, I'll share with it. Whenever you can be in a business, you can celebrate your employees and be able to put them on the front of a magazine that's the only one in the entire Philippines celebrating our employees and their journey. That's
so cool.
That lights your fire more than anything. So yeah, no doubt, man. It's and because of EO, I got a chance to actually speak at the United Nations headquarters in New York. A whole group of EOers got together and wanted to be committed to the Sustainable Development Goals, right? Which a lot of people, if you haven't heard of them, Google Sustainable Development Goals, United Nations. But basically, it's all these frameworks around humanity and society, everything from zero hunger to life on land and so forth, that a lot of countries in the world adopt and use more so than the US. And so at the beginning of launching our business, my very first staff, that I'd hired, she showed me a pair of shoes that she had bought. She said, Brad, because of the money I'm making, I was actually able to go buy. And so she sent me a picture of these children in a village with shoes in a big circle. She says, I was able to go buy shoes for these, 50, 60 kids who have to walk 2 hours back and forth to school in the Philippines. And at that moment, I said, JSL, I'm not sure where we're going to take this business. I said, but giving back, kind of this full circle, I'm getting a huge value. You're making good money. It's giving me a savings, and you're able to pay it forward in your community. And man, on my first trip there, we actually village, the kids actually drew their feet on a piece of paper. That's how we knew their size. And we bought 100 pair of shoes, real tennis shoes for kids, and a life journal, and went and delivered it to them in the villages there. And so every quarter now, we actually survey our employees and ask them which of the sustainable development goals they care most about. And my last trip there, man, we got a chance to help save a building with 200 kids for pediatric cancer over there. They were about to lose their building. And so
it's beautiful.
And this isn't, Brad pushing this, right? The thing and I encourage anybody, when you're looking at building culture and things in your business, ask your employees what they care about, right? And then fuel and fund that. And that's what's helped, bring everything full circle to invest back in their community, as a part of the process. But it comes back to the passion, right? It's seeing the impact you're having and finding ways to, pay it forward.
I love that. And I really support that in we're home services, a lot of roofing contractors, a lot of home services companies listen to this, or owners will listen to this. And I encourage you guys, we know how competitive it is. It can be very difficult. There's lots of ups and downs in our industry. And 25 was a rough year for the entire home services business. Yeah. But if you're looking at ways to differentiate yourself, take what Brad is saying. Give back, find ways to creatively give back to the community. And if you tie that to something that's meaningful to you and meaningful to your company, maybe think about, maybe there's something in your own personal life that's been affected, or that you can, find a nonprofit or find an organization you can support with your roofing company. Great. If you can maybe poll, ask your staff, ask your, clients, ask your employees, like find out what, and come up with a way to differentiate yourself by supporting other causes or other businesses or other nonprofits, and give back to the community. And you'll see what that does, not only to your culture, but also, to your ability to sell and drive business and differentiate yourself.
Totally, man. It's, it wasn't our intent behind it, but we've won a lot of clients. We work with a ton of contractors and home and commercial services. And we actually won a national franchise in home and commercial services space. Specifically because of our culture. People go to our website, outsourceaccess.com, and they can see on there our magazine, and you can flip through our whole magazine and see how we celebrate our employees. Because people want to go down the offshore and they want the savings, right? But they want to know people are being paid well and taken care of. Yep. So it has a huge impact. And I would encourage everybody, right? I would encourage you to ask your employees, right? You may have a passion project for, cleaning up streams because you're a big fisherman or something like that, right? But, if you really want the full impact, right, survey your employees and just ask them, like, hey guys, we want to do something that's important in the community. What do you all care about, right? And get them to feed you ideas, and you get them behind it, right? Yep. You can have a bigger impact. And talk about a retention tool from an employer standpoint, right? When you show you're giving back, you've got them committed, all for the right reasons, right? But kind of long term.
Well, the modern employee is evolved, is different. It's not just about getting my paycheck on Friday and going to do whatever I'm going to do, right? People want to be a part of something bigger than themselves. They want to be a part of something special. They want to, work for a company that has, a community focused mindset of giving back. Like that has become the norm. And you know, especially the younger generation, it's like it's a beautiful thing about impact and giving back and culture. And obviously you got to pay well, but having that extra element of giving back, you're going to attract and maintain and retain great employees. And here's the thing, let's squash the elephant: virtual assistants versus local employees, and they're taking our job, those sort of things. Like, right, there's this stigma around it. And sure. And I'll be honest, at first I was kind of like, oh, I'm very close to all my employees and my staff and all these things. And I was kind of apprehensive at first, but I have multiple VAs, and my man Kirk, he's an amazing part of our team. I wish he was close. We could hang out, man. But he's the one going to be producing this show. Like, hey, Kirk, what's up, bro? He's a huge integral part of our business. And he learns, he grows, he works hard, he supports his family, he just got married. Like, it's a beautiful thing to have him as part of our team. But it doesn't take away from the rest of my team that are stateside. We collaborate and we work together, and better things, more things happening to evolve because of the ability to kind of create this hybrid work model, if you will. Talk about that for a minute. I don't know if that has come up. I'm sure it comes up a lot with you and your business, because you're all about the virtual assistants. Talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, it's it's one of the DFCs. I call them doubt, fears, and concerns, right? So like in my business, when I started getting into it, because look, I had all those same perceptions and concerns when I went down this journey myself and hiring people in my the teeth whitening business, and help us save from the blowing up teeth whitening pins. And for me, it was out of necessity right at that point, because the deal was I couldn't afford, right, another full-time US employee to help in marketing and sales, right? Because cash was tight. We were, we're lean. And by the time you hire someone, right, and you got matching FICA taxes and health insurance and fully loaded, right, I needed incremental help, right? And you can get a full-time person, highly competent, with a 4-year college degree at the Philippines. I mean, it depends on, there's different paths. You can go on job boards and hire people. You can kind of go and, there's multiple paths, but anywhere from, $5 to $10, $11 a month, right, or an hour, you can get a highly competent individual full-time working with you. And so it bridges the gap. I call it the release valve, right? It's kind of like, that the release valve on a pot, right? When it's boiling too hot, and the release valve allows the steam out. Well, what it does, it allows to add that additional help that bridges the gap when either, what happens in most small to medium businesses, right? Either they ask their existing employees, hey, Randy, I need you to wear 14 more hats because we can't hire another person yet. So I need you to work 89 hours this week and do this and do that and so forth. Or the owner themselves is getting completely burned out. And who does that affect? That affects them, their health, their family, right? And so what I found in my journey, what it was for me is it helps to bridge the gap and integrate them into existing staff, right? So if I look at the 85 industries that we're in, that's what we see the model. I mean, a great example, because I just top of mind, because I had them on my podcast, one of our clients in home and commercial services, they called Yardzy, right? They do turf care, right? So they spray chemicals, on yards. And actually they're about to launch something related to the roofing space as well. But they were growing, they were struggling, right? The COO, right, was having to do all the routing for the technicians. They had 1,000 treatments per month routing these technicians using a software platform called FieldRoutes, right? And the accounting and bookkeeping was falling behind because the COO was having to do that and try to keep up and chase down receivables, right? And one of the things they wanted to do was call customers and, follow up on treatment needs and upsell them. And that was falling through the cracks, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so we ended up kind of connecting with them. And so one of the first things is we brought, one of our staff, Ivan, to the table. So Ivan got fully trained in how to run FieldRoutes. And so now he was able to do all the routing for 1,000 treatments per week for the entire company for $2,200 a month, I think, full time for them, right? So now Ivan sits on there, and they run EOS in their business, sits on there like level 10 meetings every single week, shows up on the call. He happens to be in the Philippines, but he shows up and is right there, has learned the software better than even some of the help desk staff at the software company itself. Then on the sales side, right? They're like, can people sell out of the Philippines? What about accent? What about competency? Yep. So Christina, somebody we found, vetted, amazing. You'd never know. She calls all the customers and says, hey, Randy, we were out, technician was out today and saw a brown patch in your yard. You're going to need like a fungicide treatment for $80. Would you like that on your next visit? She sold $100,000 in 3 months. $500,000 last year she sold just following up on things.
Yep.
And then accounting and bookkeeping. Rhea, we ended up bringing to the table, fully trained, integrated, wrote all the playbooks and so forth. was able to take on doing all their accounting and bookkeeping in QuickBooks. And they're like, you know what? It'd be cool if we could know revenue per truck, right? That's a unique metric we can't get out of QuickBooks. Well, our training team, we found this platform called Fathom, trained her on Fathom. That's a software, integrates with QuickBooks, and was able to be able to give them that metric. So I share that example because it's a perfect microcosm of what happens in small to medium business, right? These guys were stalling at a growth stage. They couldn't afford to hire full-time at the rates here. But now these three people, accounting, software, routing, and sales, are integrating and literally are a part of their team. I mean, they've sent flag, birthday cakes, all that kind of stuff. And it's changed their model now, Randy. So instead of just trying to grow that company, they're now going and acquiring other landscaping companies because now they have the whole back-end infrastructure to drive the growth, right? So in roofing, whether it's doing, estimates or supplements, like we got a whole team that does Xactimate, right? That's learning and doing supplements, that kind of stuff. It's all those types of elements. And it didn't replace a single person. In fact, this is the irony, Randy. They hired more local employees because they needed more technicians because of the growth that they were having. So, ironically, it actually can create jobs.
What is up? It's Randy Brothers. If you are a roofing contractor who's tired of feeling stuck, feeling overwhelmed, feeling like you're doing everything yourself, hey, I get it. I've been there, and that is exactly why I created the Roofing Academy. We have built a program that gives you real-world support from dialing in your CRM system, dialing in your workflows, helping you hire the right people, and teaching you how to actually understand your numbers. We combine that with a group mastermind, a community of other roofers who are on the same journey, and our step-by-step patented roofing success system. It's not just coaching, it's a roadmap to help you grow your business, build your team, and get back your time. If you're ready to stop guessing and finally build a business without having to do everything, let's talk. Go to theroofingacademy.com or just click that link below for an absolutely free discovery call. I can't wait to connect with you and help you with your next move.
Yeah. And I love that. Thank you for sharing that, because I think that really helps answer the question of that, what I was sharing. And same with us. It's like, those jobs that can be, and we're hybrid. I mean, after COVID, we just kind of stayed as a hybrid company. I mean, we have some of our staff who go in the office. We have our service technicians out in the field, and we have people work for my roofing company and my coaching consulting company. We have people all over the world. Like my executive assistant, she's been with me for like 10 years now. Her and her family literally live overseas. They just moved to Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam.
Yeah.
And she gets, I was on calls with her earlier. Like it's an amazing thing when you can create that sort of a work environment, and, with VAs and kind of a blending the two with our roofing company and with our coaching, with a lot of companies we work with. Roofing is tough because you have to rebuild your company every year. It's a big ticket item. It's hard to create recurring revenue. It's like you get hailstorms, you got to capitalize on those. And then when you don't get hailstorms, you can't be too staffed because then your overhead gets too high and you're bleeding money. So it's like, you got to create this model where you got to expand and contract. And for us to fill that and execute that has been through VAs. We have multiple VAs that work for our companies, and it's amazing. Again, it was funny. We had our big Christmas, our big party. We do a big like summer barbecue every year. Last year we did a summer barbecue, and our staff just took it upon themselves. So they made these big like printouts with the pictures of our VAs, and they were like putting them in the pictures and like sending them pictures of them. And like we had one of our VAs recently just get married, and he put our logo on his, it's a tradition to have like the things that are important to you on, I forget what it's called, but the special shirts that they wear when they got married, they had our, he had our logo on it. And like, it was like, it like put us to tears. Our whole company watched it in our meetings, and it can be absolutely a beautiful thing and help bridge the gap, as you say. And you want to grow and scale and get past some of those challenges. Cause I tell you, like this scaling up and down of humans in your business is very difficult, and it can be very taxing, emotionally taxing, and to have a great, part of your team, that can execute at a high level overseas is a great thing. So, awesome. Thanks for sharing. And we'll learn more. And I highly encourage anybody who's listening to this, connect with Brad and his team. Real quick. Now I get to shameless plug. You run you run a company in the Philippines, and 500, is that what you told me of how many employees do you have?
500 people in about 4.5 years. And, we throttle, up and down, different industries that we're kind of engaging, and a lot of craziness going on in our world right now. But yeah, it's quite a crew.
Yeah, that's incredible, man. And so real quick, I know we're going to start the process of landing the plane here. AI, you do some work on the AI side of things. How is AI starting to factor into what you're doing and how you're helping companies as well?
Yeah, it's everybody that knows me is like, Brad, AI is coming. You afraid your business is going to disappear? I'm like, no, because first of all, what I'll say is that any small to medium business owner, are that, right? The capacity of a small to medium business owner to entertain and evaluate the 4 trillion AI technology tools that are coming out every microsecond, right? We're just busy running our business, right? Even if there's amazing AI tools that are out there that, can change the game, but it's the time and capacity of the small to medium business owner to actually be able to go meet with a sales rep, go through it, understand it, convince their team, get them on board and integrate it, right? So that alone is a big stall point, just because the capacity and time, even if the tools do exist, right? But what we find is, we train all of our staff, and we're a big Google workspace across our entire company in the Philippines. And so Gemini actually, as everybody's seeing, is surpassing GPT. And I mean, it's absolutely phenomenal, especially the enterprise level Gemini. So
I've been hooked on Gemini too. Once I got my new phone and it was like built in. I'm like, so I just started dabbling with it instead of chat. I'm like, oh wow, I like this even better. Like the imagery and like it's just
the images.
I'm like
Banana.
I'm liking it better. Yeah.
It's absolutely incredible. So with Google, with the amount of data that it already has for being a search business, it was just a matter of time before they could eclipse it. And Claude with the latest new 4.6 Opus is incredible as well. But anyway, point being is that, so we train all of our staff to know AI tools and how we can help our clients, right? Do analysis, do research, create content, right? Bring the AI tools. So it's the human plus the AI component, right? It's 1 + 1 = 4. And so a lot of it is training our staff on the tools, right? So that they can actually execute it for the business owner on their own, and their employees who are already maxed out doing a million other things, running the day-to-day business, don't have capacity when the owner's like, hey, I just came back from this conference, John, I need you to go learn how to go do all these 400 things in AI. And he's like, I can barely breathe just managing our technicians every day, much less, right? Go and learn these 400 things. So we train all of our staff on AI platforms and tools. And a lot of that is the software. And that's one of the things we found is, across the board and all the businesses we work with, we found, Randy, we've actually learned 150 software applications, right? Specific ones that are niche, like FieldRoutes, right? For the pest control and turf care industry, JobNimbus, Xactimate, all of those. And those have a lot of AI components. And so a lot of what we found is we can help run, right, and live and breathe in whatever that industry software is, and to squeeze all the juice out of it, right? All the quotes, the billing, just doing Google reviews. So many of these platforms allow them to auto post Google reviews, which is the most significant way a homeowner makes a decision about anything is Google reviews, and nobody's posting. So we've focused a lot on not only AI technology tools we can bring to the table, but then with whatever software, and all these software applications are introducing new AI capabilities that the business owners are not even getting to, because they can barely kind of keep up with the basics that we're running for them and helping them maximize. So that's ended up being a very interesting niche. And so we're actually building entire teams. I was just there in the Philippines. We actually did a bunch of filming, launching our division, Virtual Software Pros, where we are just building experts, hundreds of people that are just brilliant at JobNimbus, right? And Xactimate and so forth, so that they can come to us. They don't have to worry about redundancy. We're always got somebody there to execute it, right? And they can always make sure that they're getting all the features and stuff, utilized. So yes, will we all be able to wake up one day and AI can brush our teeth and deliver me 100 qualified customers that already bought before I go, get to 9 a.m.? Yes, but we're a little ways away before the SMB market, kind of gets to that place.
Yeah. Love it, man. Love what you're doing. Hey, it's been a great conversation. For those of you listening, for those of you watching, as always, thank you. Without you, this show wouldn't be possible. So make sure to make sure to subscribe, throw a comment in there, review us, give us a review. Let us know how we're doing. And Brad, what is the best way to reach you, to get a hold of you? Website, social media, what do you got?
Hey man, as I tell my team, we out content the competition. If you kind of look online, you'll find a ton of stuff that we got out there. But we'll drop it, so you can kind of drop in the show notes. But outsourceaccess.com is our main website. If you search my name on LinkedIn, you'll find me there. Brad Stevens 44 is my Facebook. But we're doing tons of content education all the time. And I've actually got a podcast called How Outsourcing and AI Works. We'll drop a link in there. I've done, case study, interviews with our clients, in roofing space and otherwise, that people can kind of check out. But if people shoot an email to tools, TOOLS, tools with an S, tools at outsourceaccess.com, just on your phone, and just put Randy in the subject line, we know where it came from. As you can imagine, I have some VAs that'll send you guys a incredible collection of resources, including this 2-question exercise we recommend every business do. And it has over 700 tasks that we've done for businesses over the last six or so years, that people are always curious, like, well, what could a VA do in my business? How does it work? You know? So we'll be happy to shoot that to everybody. You can visit on all the social channels and visit our website and download a bunch of guides and resources.
Awesome, man. So real quick, now I get to put you in the hot seat. At the end of our show, I always like to, we interview entrepreneurs. So I want to get your golden nugget, my man. For those listening, entrepreneurs that are listening, what's like the best piece of advice you can give them off the cuff?
Who, not how. I was going to say one right off. And that's one thing I think I've learned as I've gotten into my later 40s is relationship equity, man. More than ever, I go back to myself in my early 20s, I would say, man, be super intentional about every human being that you meet in life. Stay connected, stay engaged. You never know where that may lead down the road. And we just landed one of our largest clients from somebody I haven't talked to in 10 years, but I stayed connected with him. He saw my content on LinkedIn, and when he had a need, he reached out. But there's a great book Dan Sullivan and Ben Hardy wrote called Who, Not How. And, most of us all have within our networks in some capacity, a resource, a support, not to go, sell or pitch them something, but just who could make a connection, maybe make an introduction that could help, but really lean on who are the who's in your life, right? Versus, hey, I need to go figure out how to do this, right? Who's the who that I can connect? Just like you, that's how you and I connected, right? I was going to the roofing conference. I'm like, hey man, who's been to the International Roofing Conference? I'd love to connect out, post on Facebook. And because of my relationship equity in EO and otherwise, and we got connected and introduced. So I highly recommend that book, Who Not How, and just think about your relationship equity. And as you're meeting people, be intentional, connect with them on LinkedIn, follow up. If you got a newsletter, subscribe to it, build our ecosystem, because in the whole world of AI, right, our human connection and how we add value to one another is going to be more significant than ever. Absolutely.
Beautiful, man. Thank you so much for sharing. And for those of you listening, thank you so much for being here. My man, Brad Stevens, take care, everybody. Have a fantastic day. God bless.
Take care, everybody. Thank you, Randy.